We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to another show of Quantum Spirituality right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My guest is Margaret Evanow. We're going to be talking about quantum human that lays waiting for you to remember who you are and what you are really, and what you really are. She says that she brings a new focus to personal development by helping us move past the physical reality, rather we are able to access the ultimate reality of the power that we all have in our consciousness, and we're being quantumed rather than physical. And when we are able to develop that from reality, our lives take on a momentum towards the biggest, best version of ourselves. With over 35 years of experience in the fields of mental health training, personal development, she has come to understand the human condition and what makes transformational growth possible, even under difficult life circumstances. Her love for humanity and the fascinating science of the fabric of the universe has led her to this unique hybrid, quantum psychology, blending positive psychology, quantum physics, human potential, and the power of the human spirit. She connects people to their own universal pathways of growth, becoming, believing, and in so doing, inviting all of us humans to re-remember who and what we are. Well, that is right up my street. Absolutely. I'm always saying to people, this is just a vessel we are in. We are spiritual beings having a human connection, a human experience, but the spirit of us is what is driving the bus. Don't get caught up in just the physical. Welcome to the show, Han.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Somebody who's dedicated, their lives to the quantumness of it. And, before when we looked at quantum, it was always physics and kind of way beyond most of our comprehension. But what I'm loving now is that kind of spiritual science of understanding what quantum means. And
Yes,
it's really opened up our whole perspective on really why we're here and what we are.
exactly. Yes. And that's what I'm about is helping us to harness the information from quantum physics and then apply it to who we are, what we have the potential to be, and quit playing small.
Oh, I like that. Quit playing small. Where does that smallness come from? I think it comes from society's dictation. It comes from organized religion. It comes from the hierarchy of misogyny. Keep you small because they don't want you stepping into your beautiful empowerment, your exquisite abundance, your vibrational beingness, because they no longer can push the button and control you. You are
Mhm.
in control of yourself. So I think what we're seeing a great deal, especially amongst, the men of the world right now, they know the transition is in place. They know that women are stepping into their beautiful essence at last. And they're, desperately trying to hang on to the reins. But, I will say, you can't put the baby back in the womb.
And don't try.
Don't try.
Don't try. It's not going to work.
Exactly. And I don't think it's going to work to try and stop us from in our own beautiful quantum growth right now.
Yeah. And in fact, I think one of the powers of the feminine
Mm,
quantum side of things is that it is inviting even of those who don't necessarily want to be open to what the invitation is for.
yeah.
So one of the things that I think is it has been in place for a long time is the idea that we are just humans.
Hmm.
We're we're growth out of primates, right? The highest level of primate. We have hairless apes. I really don't like that description. Um,
We may behave like them now and again.
well, we actually sometimes do. I've watched plenty in my growing up in psychology, plenty of
Mhm.
movies about chimps, and
Yes.
like, oh, yeah, there is some
Yes.
similarity. Sorry,
Perhaps they're smarter in some ways.
maybe. Um, so that's really Newtonian kind of science. And that has come through the ages very clearly that we're mechanistic, we're
Mm,
pieces and parts.
mhm.
We're like a machine and we break down, and that's all you get, folks.
Yes.
Um, Medicine has taken that and run with it.
Mm.
Now we're neurotransmitters or certain chemicals, or you have a doctor for the heart, a doctor for the liver, a doctor for the endocrine system, a doctor for the brain.
Yes.
But the general practitioner is not the doctor for everything.
No.
They won't even touch you for certain things.
Yes.
So the whole idea that we are animals
Mm.
and that's it, end of story, I think keeps us playing small because many people believe that that myth, that story, that that's all there is here, rocks, molecules, and somehow life happened, and here's the hairless ape.
The Neanderthals. Yeah.
Mm.
And actually, I think sometimes we're doing animals a disservice because they are so utterly beautifully intuitive.
Hmm.
And they are showing us right now when you see species that are meant to be enemies, looking out for each other,
Hmm.
um, a mama pup feeding baby hedgehogs, it's just like, it's what is in our way in embracing the essence of who we are and what we're here to do. And I'm always saying to people, get out of your head.
So, yes, our programs, right? We have programs. I always use the example of, have you ever driven to a place that you go to every day or most every day and wonder, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I don't remember the
Automatic.
exit. Yeah, and you're like, oh man, I wasn't at the wheel, but a
Right.
program was. And we have programs to believe about being small, to
Yeah.
believe that there is survival of the fittest,
Hmm.
which then introduces competition,
Yeah.
which then introduces a lot of fear. And fear is something that makes us easy to control.
Oh boy, does it. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, we've just handed the strings over.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh, Go ahead.
comparison, I think, is another one that is very
Mhm.
deadly. I don't like competition and comparison when it comes to the human race. We can compare ourselves to yesterday. How are we growing? Are we being truthful and honest and honoring ourselves in our growth? Right. But I've got to compete with someone to be important. I've got to compare myself with someone else to stand out. I think these are things traps that we've fallen into that do make us small, because
Yes,
what we're not doing is embracing the gift that we are.
exactly. Yes, exactly. And every one of us, if we give ourselves time and step away from that, I love it, rat race, right?
Hmm.
um, we will find our gift.
Yeah.
It calls to us every day.
Yes.
Most of us are just keeping our ears closed to it because we have our nose to the grindstone. And
Just
so that's
survival.
just
Right.
survival. That's
Mm.
all there is, really, right?
Mm.
In working with my clients, that is the story of the day. That's what anxiety is about.
Yeah.
That's what depression is about. That's
Mm.
what all sorts of angst is about.
Yeah.
Is really, I'm just tiny. I have to keep my nose to the grindstone. I don't know if I'll make it. Everybody else is doing better than I am.
Mm.
It's the story of the day, and it's the day has been a really long one, actually. Centuries and
Continuous,
centuries and
repetitive,
centuries.
the
Yes.
hamster on the treadmill, just keep on
Yeah.
going and going. And I do very much believe in the circle of life, because I believe where our beginning and our end, is there is this constant circle that is
Hmm.
being built up like the onion rings. It's just another circle, another circle. We're never ending. We're always beginning. We're always at an end and at a beginning.
Right.
But we've been taught that things should be linear, one line. Stay in your lane, right? Don't
Hmm.
rock the boat. Who do you think you are?
Right.
And you're nobody important. How much money do you make? Who do you know? Who do you rub elbows with? And we've placed so much importance upon that we've actually forgotten the importance of self.
Yes. Everything is out there.
Yes, which it
Everything
isn't.
is. It, well, some would say there's not much out there that we aren't actually having some effect on,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
And so where's the point of power? It's here.
Yes.
If I'm actually able to look out and say, how am I going to react to that? What do I think of it? Where do I want to go with this? I
Hmm.
don't like this. I don't think I
Hmm.
like this. I think I'm going to recreate this. I'm just not going to do it. It doesn't apply to me. We
Right.
get those decisions,
Mm.
and those decisions are power.
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
really are. I
They're
was reading.
empowerment.
They are,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of the things, if we can shift out of that rat racy thing
Yes.
that we have been all programmed. I mean, I still have
Yeah.
lots of echoes about it.
Tat,
Um,
tat, 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 tat.
yep, chitter chatter in the back. Pipe down, pipsqueaks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Um, if we can quiet that down, there is this constant, consistent call.
Uh-huh.
A friend of mine called them God whispers.
Mm.
And that just, I was like, ooh, that has
Mm-hmm.
some tingly power to
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
because it's us calling ourselves
Yeah.
out to our greatness.
Yeah.
What have we come here for? One more time.
Aren't we constantly, almost from birth, seeking that? Why am I here? What am I
Yes,
here to do?
right.
Where do I count? I believe that every single one of us is a contributor,
Hmm.
good or bad. We are a contributor, and that's what we're meant to be. We're meant to be of service to one another, in support of one another. My analogy always, and some people may be sick of hearing this because I use it probably every show, but we are a beautiful instrument that we learn to play. Now we can be soloists and play beautifully, but when we come together as an orchestra and
Hmm.
decide in each one of our strengths to harmoniously play together, we transcend that symphony out to people that becomes a wonderful vibration that
Hmm.
lifts people up, invites people up. And I think one of the things we're so busy trying to do is be somebody else's instrument or be
Hmm.
the instrument that we've been told we are. And we haven't been in self-discovery of really what our instrument is. And we may have to play many instruments before we find that one. And
Right,
it's okay. You're not a failure because you didn't stick with something. You just realize, it's taken me as far as I go and it's not really me. What's next?
right.
We're wanderers, we were explorers, right?
Hmm.
Live in wonderment of what's next and explore life and everything that you're meant to be in life.
And be open to the shifts and the changes that come
Yes.
sometimes, like you're, whoa, how did my life just shift now?
Yeah.
I call it following the breadcrumb trails.
Hmm.
Um, my
Yellow
life
brick
has been a
road.
zigzag, yeah,
Yeah.
zigzag all over the place.
Yeah.
It's never been linear.
No.
And sometimes I circle back around and try something again, and I'm different.
Yes.
Therefore, it's different.
Yes.
That exploration is, I think, fundamental. If we want to be happy, growing, expanding people, beings, um, there there is a process by which we grow to a certain stage, and that stage we outgrow it.
Yeah.
So we kind of shed a skin. We kind of decay to that aspect of our life, and then we move on to something else. And when we
Mm.
don't follow that calling, that pull to something about growth or self-discovery or empowering ourselves, that's when we get ourselves into trouble and we
Yeah.
we kind of decline or get stagnant. And it doesn't help us. It
I
doesn't
think
help
that's when the
anyone.
the dis-ease becomes
Absolutely.
disease because
Mm.
we are flow. Quantum is always about the flow of life. We were talking beforehand, we both love blue, and blue represents the sky, and it's the wind, it's the constant movement and the
Hmm.
change, but consistent in its beautiful change, right? It's
Right.
change that you can trust. And that if we become stagnant, kind of ferment.
Hmm.
Mosquitoes start hovering around us, and because the oxygen in our body needs to flow, the blood needs to flow, the energy needs to flow. And
Hmm.
when it's not in flow, and there's a dam there, there's a blockage. This is where the disease comes in and
Absolutely.
the illnesses start breaking us down. And our body will tell us when our body starts breaking us down, it says, you're not honoring your spirit.
Right. Right. And that's one of the reasons why I love the quantum physics aspect of what we understand is here and
Hmm.
what we are.
Hmm.
Because psychology has, for the most part, stopped at the animal version.
Yes.
There's little aspects of it that look at spirituality or personal development, but
Hmm.
ultimately, if you practice in the field of psychology, you really have to live in this idea that we are pieces and parts.
Hmm.
And I do the talk piece and help you change skills and help you change your mindset. But somebody else needs to give you medication for this too, because we need to those neurotransmitters and it's restricted.
Yeah.
And I'm not against those things, right? Obviously, I'm a psychologist. I'm not
Hmm.
against those things. But there's other power that we have that psychology doesn't even tap into.
I remember having a psychologist on, and she calls it sacred therapy rather than
Mm,
psychotherapy,
I love that. Yeah,
because it is
that's
the
beautiful.
embracing of our sacredness.
Hmm.
I'm very much, I mean, one of the things that kind of became much better for me to actually understand human beings is true colors, the personality traits, because I was
Hmm.
very much, and always have been, a very spiritual being, wondering what the hell humans are doing to each other, right?
Yeah, what is this? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get this. Can I go now? And it's in doing, that course and understanding and now teaching it, I understand that when we understand the mechanics of our humanness, our perceptions, the way we receive and the way we interact, helps actually understand how our spiritual or how much of our spiritual can be at the driving seat. And it helped me kind of ground myself to a point where I could actually, put my feet on the earth without feeling the pain, where
Hmm.
I could
Hmm.
actually see why human beings kind of thought that way.
Right.
Because that is the mechanics of the human intellect. Um, but it's always, for me, being the driver in the seat has always been the spiritual intellect, the heart and the soul. I believe that love is the generator. The more we give out, the more uh, that comes back, the more that generates.
Hmm.
It is the higher consciousness of our being, because we can't knowingly hurt someone else. To do so would hurt ourselves.
Right.
Um, and it's a higher frequency where creativity and growth is allowed to expand. And you look at through the ages and we look at what's going on in various countries right now. It's like going back to the dark ages. And I think
Right.
it is completely driven by fear and insecurity.
Yeah. I was reading this morning. I'm working on a sacred geometry course
Oh, wonderful.
called What Shape Are You In?
Mm.
And in this book that I'm reading, they talked about how love is the universal language. It is
Mhm.
really what everything is about. And that fear, as I was reading it, the what came to me is that fear is the longing for love.
Yes.
And
Just want
it,
somebody to
yeah,
love.
help, help me here,
Yeah. Love
You're,
me,
yes.
please.
And even when we take a step back and look at some of the things that I would say could fall into insane behaviors out there, countries doing
Mhm.
things that you're thinking, yeah, that's probably not a good idea." You know, there's a fear behind it.
Yes.
And that fear needs those of us who get that the language of everything is love.
Yeah.
Because fear is the questioning, the calling for, and
The
love is the answer.
insecurity, right?
And love is the answer.
Yes.
How do we do that? How do we spread that answer and touch those who up until now may have not been touched?
I have an almost 2-year-old grandson. And the wonderful thing about being a grandparent, it's this different feeling. When you're a parent, you're in 24/7
Right.
the mechanics of being a mother, right?
I
And
know. Yeah.
when my daughter had, her first one, she said to me, "Mom, how did you do it at 3?" And I said, "I simply can't tell you. You just did it. What was ever in front of you, you addressed. You didn't keep
Right.
records of it because you were too busy doing it." But now being a grandma, I can take that pause and step back and observe. And have a wonderful rapport with my grandson, and my daughter in a month is about to have another one. And this one is going to have special needs, so I'm going to be moving closer. And we
Mhm.
know that this particular special needs, because it is Down syndrome, is the love disability,
Yes,
right?
it
These
is.
children are the love, and I believe that everybody is born, no matter what they're born with, here for a reason.
Hmm.
Here to teach, here to show people. You take a child that's having a tantrum or has had a nightmare or just feeling frustrated at the world, and you wrap them up in love and just hold them. Don't have to say anything, don't have to do anything,
Hmm.
just hold them. That love, if they begin to trust the love, and it's
Hmm.
okay, I'm safe, I can let it go.
Right.
But as adults, we get to this point where I'm tough it out. I don't need that love. And, I'm blah, 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 and all of this protesting against love
Hmm.
because our heart was broken once, or somebody said something or did something to us, and now our guard is up, and we're so fearful it's going to happen to us again.
Yeah.
And it does, because that's the signature we're sending out.
Right. Right. And when I work with couples or families, I talk about love and attachment and connection being some of the most risky business that we
Mhm.
we actually engage in.
The trust.
It pays off
Mhm.
if we really are able to make it happen, right? That
Yeah.
connection, that love, that spice of life.
Mhm.
Exactly. Uh, but we are afraid to get hurt,
Mm.
and that comes along with experimenting and learning.
Mhm.
So get used to it and keep moving.
And I think it's like, a child learns to walk, they're going to fall on their backside so
Exactly.
many times before they get it. Einstein, 1,000 light bulbs. A skater is going to be on the
Hmm.
backside on the ice before they've got that balance, before they can take that leap.
Right.
And if we look at I did not fail because I fall, right? I
Right.
fail forward. I learned what not to do.
Right.
Now
Right.
I'm going to try something different and hope I don't fall, but at least I know how to fall now.
Yeah. But I'm not going to sit there and say I'll
Mm.
never walk again.
That
I'll
is
never
failure
skate
in my
again.
book.
Yeah. Well,
That's
it's
failure,
quitting,
giving
right?
up.
We
It
we
is.
give
Mm.
up on ourselves
Yes.
and any potential we have.
Yeah.
We give up on it. But there is more, I think, in the general vernacular of our society. Just stop, don't do this,
Yeah.
protect yourself.
Hmm. God's
Self-love
up.
is, yeah, self-love is not self-protection.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
is filling ourselves with love, which then kind of oozes out all over the place, and we
Yeah.
become a beacon for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the invitation, that frequency. That's going
Hmm.
to attract the people that are in the same vibe,
Right.
right? They're
Right.
going to see you in that frequency. If we're projecting, the list of everything we don't want, guess what? Guess what's going to
Right.
show up, right?
Exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
it's I always say to people, be careful what you seed because that's what's
Hmm.
going to grow. So if you're thinking of weeds while you're seeding, you know,
Guess what you're getting?
exactly. And we've also got to remember to water and nurture something as it grows, not target
Right.
it. It will
Right.
come to fruition when it's meant to, but love and nurture it. And I remember reading the book Celestine Prophecy many, many,
Hmm.
many years ago, and
Hmm.
I loved the whole idea of the more energy you give something, the more it will grow. And
Right.
you look back to the farming days where the soil was rich because it wasn't, being pillaged as it is today. It was allowed to re-nutritionalize itself.
Hmm.
And actually the produce was way bigger and so much more
Right.
enriched. And now that we're kind of mass producing, things have less enrichment and are smaller. Well, what's that
Right.
saying? When we're stretching the energy instead of feeding the energy.
Exactly. Yeah. I have this lemon tree and I just harvested last night.
Mm, yum, yum.
I, and I nurture it because we have Summers here where I live, 110, 115, and we have a
You
couple
can have
months of
that,
that.
darling. You can have
Yeah,
that.
I know. I don't like that part of it.
No.
The rest of it I like. I can hold my lemons in my hand. They're
Hmm.
that big. And
Right.
it's because I take good care of that tree,
Yes.
right? I
The
take
nurturing.
good care of it. Yep, it is.
So why can't we do
I
that
don't
to
know.
ourselves?
We can. We
Yes.
just don't always know how. I think a lot of people don't understand what would that look like,
Yeah.
right?
And are we
How do we
seeking
put it into
permission?
steps? Some people are,
Yeah.
maybe
I think
most
my
people are.
generation,
A
you know,
lot
I'm
of people.
I'm
Yeah.
68, and I think a lot of my generation is we're seeking permission to place value upon ourselves. Well,
Mm-hmm.
we're seeking permission that it's okay to love yourself. It's okay to say no. I mean, because
Yeah,
right, and
definitely.
that was big
No is
one.
a good word. Yeah, it
Yes,
really is.
and that
It
you know,
makes your
you're not
yes.
offending people. You're just
No.
standing your ground.
And you're making your yes valuable
Yeah, yeah,
because
I
you
like that.
you you don't devalue um my yes when I might say no to you.
Mm-hmm.
So, right, my yes means something, means I'll actually show up and do it.
Right.
But if I'm not in it and I can't give you what I think needs to be put in it, I can say no because I'm not the best person to do it.
I think this is kind of why I've been doing what I'm doing. I'm coming up to my 11th year of podcasting and doing 10
Wow.
years of my own network. And
Wonderful.
and it's the longest I've ever stayed at any form of career. And I think what it was is that I was a spiritual coach, and it didn't matter. I went on a cruise and I ended up coaching people. People could come to me. It's
Hmm.
just has been like that even since a child. I was giving wisdom to people, channeling it without
Hmm.
even understanding what I was doing. So it's always been who I am and what I came here to do on this planet. But in doing this right now, I can only give as much as I am meant to give. But I've got an entire library of
Hmm.
that wisdom and practical application and supporters and illuminators that are
Mm,
here for you for the picking. And
right.
so now it's kind of my purpose is, I feel I'm the elevator person, floor two, floor three, you know.
Penthouse?
And it's like, you whatever problem you've got, I've got somebody who has a solution to it. Are
Yeah.
you ready to listen, to
Hmm.
hear, and to apply?
Right. Right. Um, Most of us have gone to some kind of a training and never did anything. It brought it home, it sat
Mhm.
down, got some dust on it, we put it away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's action that's going to
Yes.
be required if you really want some type of shift in your life. Um, but sometimes you can learn how to do that action in a playful way, in a way that just feels more joyous than
Yes.
like a duty or an obligation because I have to
Do I
grow, you
have to?
know.
Yeah.
Um, so I think sometimes the listening isn't necessarily the hard part because
Mm.
people listen to stuff all the time. They are reading things and listening to things and oh, I read this great book and there it stops.
Because they don't know what to do with it,
Yeah, I think
right?
a lot of people just don't know how to take it,
That
put it
knowledge
into
and
nuts and bolts and
yeah,
make something out of it for themselves.
exactly. And it's like okay, I've learned the what and the why, but it's the how,
Hmm.
right? The how, and I think it's back to the toddler learning to walk, one foot in front of the other.
Right,
Nobody's asking you to reach your destination. You've
right.
read something that, inspiration begets invitation, as far as I'm concerned.
Hmm.
And you've been inspired by something and it's invited you to want to take the journey. But what you're focusing on is the triumphance of that person's journey. That's what's inspired you. I want to be where they are,
Right,
right? But
right,
you're forgetting the beginning of the story of the struggle and the strife that
right.
they took, the potholes and the Grand Canyons and everything
Mhm.
else that they took along the way. And they've paved that way for you to make it easier for
Right.
you. But all you have to do is put one foot in front of the other.
I love your analogy of learning to walk because there's a lot of people in the groups that I hang in, so you can't use the word try. And I just sit back and I think, oh, wait a minute. Isn't a child pulling themselves up and then plopping down and pulling themselves up
Yeah.
and plopping down, trying to
Yes.
learn how to walk? And so isn't that part of the process of doing?
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's almost like there's this idea that you either do it or you don't. And there's a whole bunch in between. I got inspired and I find my way to what I was inspired to. And
Mm.
it might not look the same
Right.
as what you read in the beginning. I mean, psychology was my thing since
Hmm.
I was a kid.
Hmm.
It's not everything to me anymore because
Yeah.
there's this other piece that when I landed on it, when I was 1920, um, it opened up a new world. I was
Hmm.
like, oh, oh, I
Hmm.
do have some power in this. I have choice.
Yes.
And the the scary thing is how much choice we have. I was just reading in that same book that every one with 44 zeros after it. I don't know. Is that a quadrillion, billion, gazillion? I don't know what that means.
A
I can't
lot.
say a lot. The universe itself, quantum physics has determined that the universe itself is blinking in and out of existence, one with 44 zeros after it every second.
Hmm.
And that's the wave, not wave, collapsing the wave, collapsing the wave every second. And we are in the universe.
We're part of the universe.
Yes,
We're
we
made up
are.
of the universe.
And we actually go in and
Mm.
out of that. And every time we have that in and out, we have a chance to make a new choice when we come
Aha.
back in. That's actually some of the premise of what Dr. Joe Dispenza is working on with transforming people's health is
Hmm.
that we actually do. We can go in and out. And when we come back in, we could bring a whole new way of being,
Yeah.
which changes everything. Problem
Yeah.
is,
Yep.
most
Go
of
ahead.
us bring our old programs with us back.
Right. And what does that do? It contaminates.
It's the same story, right? It's
Yes.
the same thing. So
And it's comfortable. So can I bring my story along with me?
I'm
No.
still reading it. And instead of reading our story, we should be writing it,
Yes.
right? Because if we're reading it, it's already written, it's past, it's the stuff I just keep repeating. But we need to start writing our new story. What's coming next? What's what's possible in like a month,
Yeah.
2 months, a year? Where could I be? What could I be?
Mhm.
What would I love
Mhm.
to be doing? If it's not something that we love, I tell people don't do it.
I agree. You're not
Just
going to
don't do
give it
it.
your all, and it's
Yeah.
not going to feed you.
Yeah. And if you want to do it for a long time, like
Mm.
people picking their careers, and you're doing it because it makes money, you'll be miserable at some point.
We say, and believe me, I practice this. If you do it for no money because you love it so much, you know you're in the right career,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Obviously,
Yeah.
the object is to make some money, roof
Well,
overhead, and all of
it's,
that.
yeah, it's not
But
the only thing. Yeah.
right, but it's like you've got to get up every day knowing you're excited about what you're going to do.
Exactly.
Otherwise, I refer a lot of people as the walking dead. They're just
Yes.
methodically going through life. And
Mm,
but when you talk about the past, your programming, I think one of the good things to do sometimes is reflection.
mm,
I look back at 20, 25 years ago where I was, and I was in a jail. I was completely a prisoner of my environment, of my spouse, of my misery.
mm.
I'm feeling completely severed from my spirituality, which was my entire identity, because I identify more with that than I do with the human side of it, because the human side of it always has been suffering for me. And when I look back and like, look where I am today. Look where I am from 5 years ago. When I first started podcasting, I was asked to be on another network. I didn't know what a podcast was, right? I did 13 months live shows, great training ground. Even when I started my own, I still didn't know what I was doing. I learned as I went. I
Yeah.
followed the passion. I didn't know if I was doing it well. And everybody likes to compare. You should do it like so and so. No, so and so does it this way. No, you've got to do it like that. That's them.
right.
I
You're
found
calling
a rhythm.
people to you.
Exactly. This is my
Mm.
rhythm. If I'm not your cup of tea, that's fine. I'm a coffee drinker. That's, if if that's okay. There's several million podcasts out there. Go and find one that resonates you. Please don't go to the conspiracy one that's going to rile you up more into hate and discord. Right? Go to the ones that are the solutionists. If my style is not your cup of tea, that
Right,
is okay. I'm not offended. But
right,
I think we've been brought up to believe there's something wrong with us if everybody doesn't like what we're doing.
right. And those who have been trailblazers have been willing to go past what other people think of them.
And that's hard
It
initially
is hard, yes, but it gets
because you're
easier.
using other people's thoughts as a compass,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah.
But it does get easier. And
Yeah.
I think you know that you've become much more anchored in your own
Mhm.
self and gift when even the people that were your quote unquote teachers,
Yeah.
you have different thoughts and it's okay.
Yes.
Right? You're like, well, I don't really quite buy that one. I think this.
Yes,
Uh, then then you have your own unique voice. And that's really what we need is unique voices here.
we do. Um, a teacher, I think the best teachers are those that learn from others. But they're also the teachers that know that you're going to outgrow them,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that
I've had a couple that have said that.
yeah,
You are meant to outgrow me, so
yes.
get going.
Yes,
Like, okay.
exactly. It's like psychiatrists. They make you dependent. I'll see you next week, and we're going to go at that sore and worry it again, so that you'll be back the following week, rather than I'm going to, show you where that
Mhm.
programming is. I'm going to show you how to delete it. I'm going to show
Right.
you the skills and the tools to embracing a new day, a new dawn, because I don't want to keep seeing you back here.
Right. Well, and I think ultimately those in the field of therapy, psychotherapy, counseling, um, if they're if they're truly the people that are doing the art of that,
Hmm.
um, you're supposed to work yourself out of a job as soon
Yeah.
as you can. As soon
Yes.
as you can. Yeah.
Yes. Make yourself obsolete in that person's
Hmm.
life, because that's
Yep.
when you know that it's actually worked. When they say, I
Right.
don't need you anymore. Thank you for the
Right.
skills, the perspective, the encouragement. But
Hmm.
now I can walk this walk on my own. Doesn't
Right.
mean they won't come back to you somewhere along the road with
Just for a
another,
little
crossroads in their life.
idea. Yep.
But,
Hmm.
we don't want to keep our children crippled by keeping them on our hip. We want them to walk.
Yes, because they get a little heavier
Oh
as
boy,
years
do
go
they.
on. Can you imagine? Teenager on your hip. Ooh.
Exactly, exactly. It's more the other way around now. They're all taller than me. And that's kind of how it's actually meant to be. We want our children to be brighter than we are.
Yes.
We want the next generation. And I think I have a saying that, no more activism talk. Let's get into actionism, because the
I like that.
activism is constantly talking about what the problem is. But
Hmm.
the actionism is okay. We've put all our heads together. We've addressed the problem. Now, what's the solution?
Right. Right.
Right? There's always a solution. And especially if we
Yes.
put our heads together and leave ego at the door.
Yes. That would be a lovely meeting to be regular at.
Yes.
A regular attendee.
Do
Yeah.
you think that egos, maybe in the last 150, 200 years, have kind of become the identity of people? You look back at history, you had people that are egotistical and, narcissistic, and they were of the few, they were
Hmm.
there. But now we seem to see narcissism and, misogyny and egotism, prevalent today,
Mm.
you know?
I think that part of us is really about the the question, is there really love out there? And if I don't believe there is, okay, then I need to act accordingly. I'm living from fear. So when we have to pump ourselves up,
Hmm.
that says I feel small.
Yes.
And if I'm cool with just being me and you can take me, don't take me,
Hmm.
whatever you need to do, but I'm still going to be me and I'm still going to do my stuff, that there's no fear there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And so
am what
that,
I am, as Popeye says, right?
yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to do the
Woohoo!
sorry. Obviously, I've seen that. No.
Yeah. Identify with olive oil. Olive. Um, you know, I was a person that grew up really insecure because I just was a seer
Hmm.
and, kind of a very naive human.
Hmm.
And I've always seen the heart and soul of somebody and not really identified with the package that they're in. And therefore it brought people to me that were kind of broken that needed to be healed. And then once
Right.
they were healed, they didn't need me anymore.
Mm,
And
that's
that's
fun.
fine for, if it's a client, but when it becomes a spouse or
Uh-huh.
someone close to you, it kind of can be hurtful. But I think if we can get over that and go, okay, we have so many chapters in our book of life. They
Yeah.
were just a chapter. Now it's time to move on.
Hmm. Hmm. And that's sort of like what we started with, like there's a zigzaggy kind of
Yeah.
thing. Sometimes we think we're going here, but we end up over there.
Hmm.
It's a good place to be, right? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay, I learned so much from that place. And now I'm going this way.
Right.
Right? We just keep moving. We keep moving. We keep growing. We keep writing our next chapter of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We look at our DNA, it has a twirl to it. We look at frequency and energy waves, it all
Hmm.
has a lovely movement to it. The only thing that has a straight line is a flat line.
And sometimes your heart's still beating and you
Yes.
have
Hey, can't you hear me? I'm pumping here.
could you do something?
And that flat line is very much our thoughts. It's very
Hmm.
much that programming. It's very
Yeah.
much that condition that is, constantly repeating itself. And it's a societal disease of
Hmm.
you've got to fit into this nice, neat little box.
Right.
And as human nature, we're trying to break out of the box all the time. But one thing we've got on there is no box.
Well, isn't yeah, that's a good thing, by the way. But if you look at nature, nature is never easily contained,
No.
right?
Try
We
try
try to,
containing a
yeah.
hurricane. Yeah.
Well, and try to contain weeds.
Yes.
No matter what I do, they keep coming up. I'm like, oh, one of the places that I'm a failure is there when I can't get rid of the weeds. But that's
But yeah.
also a statement
Mhm.
of nature will not be contained.
Right. You're not the boss of me.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go through concrete
Yeah.
in
Yes.
the middle of nowhere. I don't know how a seed got there, but there it is, and it's coming up through concrete. That's nature. That's
Yeah.
that spirit wanting to grow. And that is who we are.
And for God's sake, embrace yourself as that. There was beauty. I'm always taking pictures that speak to me and then putting captions to them. And, one of them is a tree that's literally broken through a piano and it's
Wow.
grown up through the keys and everything else. And I say, when we have the inner strength, we can break through anything.
Hmm.
But you look at a forest, and there's a beautiful documentary by Judy Dench on trees and the slow motion of the fiber optics of the trees,
Hmm.
of how they connect with each other. No, a
Yeah.
forest doesn't say, "Hey, oak, sorry, this is only for willows here. Piss off," right?
Right.
You
It
know,
doesn't. I
and
know.
when a tree falls, growth comes out of it,
Yes.
right? Or it's providing sanctuary or life or source for something else. The forest is constantly supporting, feeding, and standing tall with each other,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why can't we be more like the forest?
Well, that's a good question. I think because we see the forest as a general sense of something that is marketable. We can cut it down, we can sell it, we can make it into this, chop it up. Yeah, it's the focus on currency
Yes.
rather than agency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't
Um,
love the biggest currency in the universe?
well, some of us think so.
Hmm.
And I actually I'm gonna modify that. Even those that are in fear
Hmm.
are asking for it. They
Yes.
just don't know what they're asking for.
No.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
answer comes to them. The answer comes over and over and over again through examples of people, people that are doing things to help each other. I mean, one of the most beautiful things I actually was a part of years ago was where I lived. There was a terrorist attack, and it was my first deployment as a mental health specialist in the Red Cross.
Mm,
And I was the first one to show up from my little unit, scared as could be, because I was like, okay, what am I doing here?
yeah.
But what I ended up seeing was all of these people, ministers, pastors, leaders in the community that come together in a waiting room, like a big, it was like a gymnasium,
Mm,
waiting for the families to come and get some support.
yeah.
And I thought, wow, you know,
All that love ready to be given away,
yeah,
right?
I didn't know they were here. I didn't know
Yeah.
they were here, but here they are. And there was one minister that is kind of saw me like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do because my supervisor didn't come for at least an
Mm,
hour and a half. And he took me under his wing and he said, don't be afraid to just go into the pain.
mhm,
I was like, okay, I can do that. You know, I
mhm.
have some training. It was one of the most powerful
Yeah.
experiences I've ever had because I saw humanity at its best.
Mhm.
It was just beautiful.
Isn't it interesting that when we're in that collective pain, how the best of us comes out of it, but how we can't sustain that, in the time
Yeah.
of peace. And I've got another show on this week, and it's about a woman who has told someone's story from um, Malalar. It's a city in Ukraine, and it's about a young girl and her dog. How for 5 weeks they were just kind of in a rubble in a basement, literally people dying around them. She had a bit of medical things, so she was trying to keep people alive, and they're literally dying. They can't go out and get food or anything because there's just gunfire and shooting all the time, and there's perpetual 24 hours bomb, 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 bomb going on, and then trying to escape that, and people going mad, running out to the street just to be shot or blown up.
Mhm.
And it's like, my parents come from wartime. My dad was a squadron leader, and my mum literally threw herself over her daughter, my half sister, when she was picking kids up from school as one of those silent bombs went down, just trying to hide them under the pram,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we look at what they've been through. But I always say the people that have been through that most, because I interview a lot of veterans as well, are the people that understand the need for love, the
Mhm.
need for forgiveness, the need for um, collaboration and support and bringing people together.
Right.
They understand that need, and they understand it's not only their sanctuary, it's the very air they breathe, it's the blood that keeps the energy blood that keeps them going. It's the purpose, and that is the love.
Right. Right. We need a louder voice.
Mm,
And maybe the work you're doing is beautiful because it's love voices that are all
hmm.
different, right? From all
Beautiful
different walks of life.
chorus.
Yeah,
Yes.
beautiful chorus so that people can hear it
Yeah.
in different ways.
Yes.
And that might be the key, right? To
And I,
help
I
people hear it.
and how they choose to hear it too.
Hmm.
It's like my brother and sister are in England, and I speak with them every week, and both of them are kind of a little bit doomsayers. They watch all the miserable news and then
Yeah.
quite quick to tell you all about it. And as far as he's concerned, for the last many years, there was going to be no world. And
Right.
and and I said, like, hang on. I said, look, people like you feed off the misery.
Mm,
And you've got so entrenched in the misery, you can't see the joy. You can't see the possibilities. I'm on
right.
the other side of it. I feed the possibilities. I know there are people out there that have already changed the currency, the tide, the wavelength of love. I know that there actually are more of us because we've tilted the scale,
Hmm.
who are promoting love, self-abundance, enrichment, empowerment, being the best you can be, and letting your cup run over. And that those are the individuals that are going to save us as human beings on this planet. I know because I've interviewed 3,000 of them. And I know because these people have their own ripple effect on everything that they're doing.
Absolutely.
But I said, you choose not to see that. And this is all I choose to see.
Hmm.
I'm aware of what goes on over there, but I'm not going to
Right.
feed it. I'm
Right.
going to feed the solution is. And I think that's the choice sometimes we have to look at.
Hmm.
We're aware of the atrocities going on in the world.
Right.
And we sometimes feel powerless to do anything about it. And that can be especially empaths. We feel it and we feel powerless to do anything about it. But we are when we're feeding each individual, feeding that love, that self-love, that meaningful purpose, helping them find it, helping them be it, helping them be that essence and that vibration, because that is changing the whole frequency of the planet.
Absolutely. In fact, it's years ago, so it might have changed a little bit, but we are connected 5 people
Hmm.
away, right?
Hmm.
And we're connected to everyone.
Yes.
So if we actually take the 5 people in front of us and fill them with love,
Hmm.
help them to see their own best gift,
Yes.
we've just touched everybody.
Pulsating out.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
the power of that is
Yes.
immense.
Yes.
So
But it's got
when
to have
somebody,
the intention.
yeah,
Mm.
exactly. And that's agency.
Yeah.
That's agency. We have the ability to really transform everything. And it doesn't mean that it's going to take forever, keep doing this
Hmm.
stuff. And it's not like that.
It's not about the
Possibility.
highs of, where is the joy? There's the Black Eyed Peas and the wonderful song, Where is the Love? And very often I put it up on my own show posting, because do a
Hmm.
lot of shows on love. I'm always promoting love, you know, and it's we're so capable of it. We've seen this time and time again of how we can come together and be supportive of each other. And who cares you're black, white, pink, yellow, polka dot, or where you're coming from, what your sexuality is, what your education is, or
Right,
anything. It's about the core of you,
right.
right? It's identifying with the core of ourselves. And I think it's, we have to look at the hierarchies. And religion's a lot to do with this. Obviously, the top 1%, keeping you divided, keeping you out of joy,
Hmm.
keeping you dissatisfied or in fear only
Right.
empowers them. And like somebody was pointing out, the 1%, da da da, and I just pointed up, but where's the power of the 99%?
Right. Let's harness it.
What are we doing with it?
Yeah.
We're just sitting back and complaining and moaning and groaning that, oh, well, the 1%'s got all the power. Hello, there's 99% of us.
And for that, we do need agency.
Uh-huh.
Right? We need to connect to each other. We need to understand we're not just animals. This isn't a competition.
Right.
It is not a competition. It is not survival of the fittest,
Hmm.
right? And then everybody else dies.
Yes.
Um, it's not that. That's a different game. That's a different
I think it's the thrival
story.
of the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, but again, that comes down to our choice. We do have the choice of what we're going to feed is what's going to grow. And if you're going to be, what I used to use in my coaching thing, a ruler, because I'm still on that, not matrix, you're 6 to 12 are people at various level of positivity. They're stepped into that love vibration. And you have those 4 5s that are stepping into it, stepping out of that misery or the suffering or the struggle and
Right.
stepping into that love vibration. But you have the 1 to 3s who are the piranhas. They like being in the negative, but
Right.
the only way they can sustain that energy is to go after the 4 to 5s and suck them dry. So
Right.
this is why we see so many people, but I thought they were doing so well. And then they relapse. Well, they relapse
Hmm.
because they were around the piranhas
Right.
instead of around the love. So when we see people really making the effort to rediscover themselves, to make that choice to put the one foot in front of the other, we need to be their cheerleaders. We need to be
Yeah.
their support, um, and encourage them and protect them from the piranhas.
Yeah. And and from themselves
Yes,
sometimes,
yes.
right? Because we have these
Self-sabotage,
yeah, we have
big
these
one.
programs, right?
Yeah,
I like to say they don't just disappear because we want them to.
right.
And they may not totally disappear, but we have to maintain a new way of thinking. We have to achieve it, then we have to maintain it because those old programs are always waiting in the background. When are you going to put your guard down? When are you going to
Yeah,
stop moving? When are you going to say, wow, this is really bad?
yeah.
because they're ready, right? They're
And
ready.
it's not an indication, for some people, well, I'm right back there again. No, you're not.
No,
It's
you're
just
not.
something's just triggered it. It's
Right.
reminded you.
Hmm.
And instead of looking at it and think, oh God, I'm back there again, look at it and go, oh, thank God I'm not there anymore.
And I like to say, oh, that old stuff?
Yeah,
Come on, Margaret, knock it off.
yeah,
Knock it off.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
it really
That's
is.
not me anymore,
Yeah,
right?
I that's
Mm,
been a long time
mm,
since I thought those things.
yes,
But they do come up sometimes, and
yes,
we have to be prepared for that kind of
yeah,
cyclical, oh, here it is again, but at a different level.
yeah.
And then over here at this level, oh, there it is again. You
Mm,
know, but it's a process of just refining, of becoming clearer and clearer about who we are, and remembering and staying
mhm.
in that new memory, right?
You talked before about, the different doctors, a doctor for eyes, a doctor for kidneys, doctor for this. My brother's going through that right now with heart and kidney, and my sister's going through this and that. And there are all these different doctors and nobody talks to each other. And
Mm.
really we've got to do is truly understand we are a whole human being. All of our organs are in this biggest organ, which is our skin, our
Mm-hmm.
skeleton, our
Hmm.
skin, and that our spirit and our psyche and our heart and our soul aren't just hovering above us, that it's in
Yeah.
us, we've integrated together, and that we need to look at ourselves as the whole. And then
Yes.
I think if we can do that and allow ourselves to go through the process of the healing, of the understanding, of the growing,
Hmm.
one step at a time. I've stated the biggest leap is the first step,
Right.
right?
Right.
But sometimes you can take leaps because you feel
Hmm.
confident enough to take that leap. You're ready for that leap.
Right.
But it isn't about your destination. It is truly about your journey. And how much are you honoring yourself? You can't expect anyone else to honor you until you honor yourself.
And it's not going to happen because you get what you put out, right? The
Exactly.
energy that you are is what comes to you. It People reflect that to you. People who go, "Oh, I'm like that too. I'm going to hang with you."
Yeah.
And then we feed
Misery
off
loves
of each other.
company.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised how hard that is for people when they are making progress and you said the one, twos, and threes
Yeah.
down here. Sometimes they're people you love.
Yeah.
And people get pulled back just because of obligation, because of, oh, I can't leave them.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to let people choose what they want to be, and we need to choose for ourselves too.
Without guilt, without
Yes,
shame,
yeah.
you know,
Growth is
is
never guilty.
right. Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the higher you step up into that love vibration, you may not be their answer.
Hmm.
You talked about the ripple effect. The more we exude, the more it ripples out. Maybe
Right.
somebody else will be their ripple effect, or maybe
Mhm.
it is just their choice of life to live in misery because they're happy there.
And somebody once told me that the joy is in the level of awareness or
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. And so that if you're really an angry person,
Mm-hmm.
you find some kind of joy in that. That's
Yes.
that's what you think life is about,
Right.
right?
Something to
You hone
bitch
it.
about.
Yeah, you hone it to a real good
Yeah.
skill. Or the sadness or the grief.
Yeah.
Um, but there's another level that lets those go and actually embraces, wow, I feel great.
Yeah.
And I love everybody. I have this thing coming out of me. It's called love, and it just
Yes.
is it's
Doesn't it
expanding.
feel
And I don't
good?
yeah, it's like, wow, I'm on top of the world. Now, sometimes we have a harder time maintaining that or staying there, but
Keeping a
it,
rhythm, a nice rhythm. Yeah.
mhm, it's always just about stepping back
Yeah.
in, coming back to where we want our center to be. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And that wonderful love vibration is a wonderful place to be. But you've got some people who say back to the how. I've been so hurt or I feel so numb, I just don't know how. And I say, okay, time to get out in nature. Time to take a walk in the forest and listen to the trees, the rustle of the leaves, the tweets of the birds. Walk along the shore, hear the water kissing the shore. Let the wind brush through your hair, just clearing away the old, hear the laughter of the children as they play, watch the
Hmm.
puppy dog chasing a stick. If this can't bring a smile to your face, if this can't be something that hits the heart and warms it, then, maybe you have no heart unconscious altogether, because nature is love.
Hmm.
Even in its hurricane, even in its destruction, it is still love. It's getting rid of old, or it's reacting to something. And, people talk about grounding. And I go, can we stop with the grounding of all your pain, please? Because Mother Earth is feeling rather saturated,
Hmm.
right? It isn't about
Hmm.
giving your pain away so you don't have it. It's about you going through your pain to
Right.
release it
Processing
so
it.
no one
Yeah.
has it.
Yeah. Yeah. Processing it and releasing it, transforming it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because pain
Yes.
doesn't have to be, and I know this
Painful.
is going to, yeah, it doesn't have to be pain.
Yeah.
The most difficult things that I've ever experienced in my life were extremely painful,
Hmm.
and they taught me the most about
Yes.
myself and humanity
Yes.
and what it means to try and be a person here.
Yeah.
And you come out on the other side very, very different. And if you process it the right way, like really let
Hmm.
it happen, um, you'll never be the same.
No.
You can't go back. You can't go back to where you
Can't put
were,
the baby back in the womb.
right? Yeah. Ouch. Yeah.
Well, that's how painful it is to
I'm
go
having
back there.
sympathy pains. Yeah. Just at the thought.
Yeah, I look back on, who I was as a child, which is pure spirit and quite sickly. So I was very much a dimensional traveler because I was in my room for
Hmm.
weeks on end each time, and just, what was I to do in a blank room? Well, go elsewhere,
Right.
right? And very often I have memories which I think, well, which dimension was that? Was it Earth or was it somewhere else?
Right.
And it's and I look back at me and I was really, really unworldly.
Mm.
Everything I did was kind of came from that spirit and that channeling. And then the world hit me, made me grow up, right?
Mm.
And of course, became a mother and etc. And so life was different. And it was that battle to get back to the spirit, because that's where the
Right.
peace is. That's where the clarity is.
Hmm.
That's where the trust is. And also when you're in that thing, no matter what's going on the human side of you, you are never alone.
Hmm.
Right. And that comforts the human side of you to let you know, okay, you may be, because, I have a condition, and one of the side reactions of that is depression. And sometimes I can just hit that depression with some good music because that resets the frequency.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes, okay, the rabbit hole is really bad and I need to take some medication for a short while
Hmm.
to make sure I don't get down
Hmm.
there into that despair. But life is about managing things that aren't always the joy of life,
Right.
so that you can truly step into the joy
The
of life.
joy of life. Yes, absolutely. So that stepping in, that's the agency that a lot of us are afraid to do, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah. Because you will not be the same if you do it.
no.
And you
And
have to let go of that old person, that old
and that and
story.
that and there is not one single person I have interviewed that's gone through the process and become who they are today to say, everything that happened to me has made me who I am today, and I won't give up anything. And some people have been through some things that no
Yeah,
human being should have to go through. And they say,
absolutely.
but who I am today. And it's not, what happened to me, it's what I did with it, what I
Right,
became because of it.
right.
And
It
but
becomes a teacher.
it does. But
Hmm.
we have to be willing to learn. We have to understand this isn't a downloadable app or a quick this or that, or somebody else do it for me. We've
Right,
got to go through the process. So
right.
what's the process that you take people through?
So I have a clinical practice, but I also am coaching. And the coaching practice is about learning how to really enhance your permission to have a vision of life that you would love, not your spouse, not your children, not your
Mhm.
grandma, but you would love. We cover four quadrants. So it's health, it's work or vocation. So maybe not paid work, but
Mhm.
something you really love doing. Relationships, and then time and money freedom.
Yes.
How do we have that spaciousness in our life and
Mhm.
enough to care for our needs and our wants, but also have that time that just allows us to have the relationships, allows us to take care of our health. So it's a three-phase program. The first phase, we look at building that vision. What
Mhm.
would you love? And you really got to get in there and be honest with yourself because sometimes we aren't honest with ourselves. We're
Yeah.
afraid to actually I'd like that, right? We're just
Hmm.
afraid. And then the second and the third phases are more about helping you really build your infrastructure to help you hold that frequency of that
Hmm.
vision and step into the different breadcrumb trails that come along and maintain who
Yeah.
you become in the process. So that's
Hold
my
on to
coaching
yourself,
program.
right? Not too
Yeah.
tight that, like the
Well, you
bar
want to keep
slope.
moving. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
want to
want to
keep
keep moving?
moving.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to keep growing. And so when we clamp down,
Yeah.
we've stopped,
Yes.
right? So it's with an open hand.
Hmm.
Um, but that's one of the ways that I found taking quantum psychology has given me more freedom to help people in a
Yes.
different way. Not the clinical piece, because that has really restrictive boundaries. But the
It's only
coaching
dealing with human mind, not spiritual psyche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody really seems to have that on their treatment plans. I'm
Right.
going to help this human psyche find themselves and their spirit and really move and grow in that area.
Right.
Um, so the coaching piece is what
Mm.
I'm really invested in because to see people grow, to
Mm.
see people actually dream, maybe for the
Mm.
first time in their lives,
Mhm.
to see people see a cataclysm and think, oh gosh, does this mean I'm not going to get what I would love? And see that not as a stop sign,
Right.
but as a qualifier.
Mm.
Can you work around it?
Mm.
Can you see beyond it? Can you move to the left or the right? Can you change how you're seeing it? Maybe it's not a cataclysm.
Yes.
So that's where I'm actually having a lot of joy and
Mm.
finding my
Mm.
joy in the growth of other
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
I love watching that. I love
Yes.
watching that.
I have a program called The View of Life, and it's a metaphorical program. And just like what you have spoken about, is a lot of what this is. And is
Hmm.
so many people have shut down or have got blinkers on or just unaware or not paying attention
Hmm.
that, the answer is there right in front of you. But you're so busy. But where's the answer? Where's the answer? Where's the answer? That, just take a deep breath, center yourself, be
Right.
present. Then you'll see what is presently in front of you. And but
Exactly.
that is an art we have to learn, isn't it?
Hmm. And trusting that what's in
Yeah.
front of you is connected to something else, to
Yeah.
something else, to something else, and it will take you where you are desiring to go. It will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you work with people in your clinical practice, but you also work with people online,
Yes, that's the coaching program. Yeah.
right? And the universal pathway. I love that. Um, a great title because we know this planet was made out of particles of the universe. We know that we're all kind of those numbers, those zeros and
Hmm.
ones. We're all a mathematical equation. We are all a part of the same energy. We're all part of the same particles. And when we tap into those particles and flow with them, we have then the universal wisdom ready
Right.
for download, right?
Right.
For it to resonate, I call it the knowingness. When the knowingness comes through you, like your soul comes through your soul, it ignites with your heart and truth. It lifts your spirit into action, and your mind will know what it needs to know when it needs to know it. And that is taking the knowledge that we've learned, but understanding the wisdom and how to use the knowledge,
Right.
right? Because we've become very knowledge head based and everything is about the knowledge. But hey, hello, heart, soul, and
Yeah.
spirit
Hmm.
intellect.
Hmm.
Just like we need to treat our wholeness
Right.
as see ourselves as whole, we've also got to look at the wholeness of our intellect as well.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So your sites are
So, if people are interested in kind of seeing some of the things that I do, I have a Facebook page, Margaret.Evanow, where I actually have a live program on Mondays. It's very creative, Mondays with Margaret. Um,
good
and
way to start the week.
Yes. So that's one way people could get in kind of a taste, a flavor of kind of what I talk about and what I do. I'm also on TikTok and Instagram, and it's Dr. Margaret Evanow on both of those.
Can you spell
And
the Evanow, please,
yes,
for
it's
people?
Evanow.
Mhm. Even
I
now,
always,
right?
yeah, even now, I always joke the way you pronounce it is Barry Manilow's old song, even now. Um, I'm also on LinkedIn, and my website is 3CYOU, universal pathways.org. So I have
What's the
some
three C stand for?
counseling,
Mhm.
coaching, consulting. Yeah.
Right. And of course, you have a book, The Dare to Dream.
Yeah. So I was just recently, it launched February 25th, I believe,
Hmm.
on Amazon, and it's a collaborative effort. And it's about people stepping into their dreams, daring to dream, and not taking no for an answer. And my chapter, of course, is about quantum psychology. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's available both in Kindle and paperback, I believe.
And also, you have a free giveaway for everybody. You offer a free ebook to help you understand how to access the quantum human that lays waiting for you to remember who, what you really are, and how to reprogram. So people can get hold of that on your site.
Yes, on the website. Hmm.
Wonderful. So, I love, the whole title, the universal pathways. I love the whole quantumness of it, quantum psychology, fantastic. There's an actually old colleague that I used to work with. We actually started off with uh, with a new quantum motor,
Mm,
which was an energy motor. And, just through circumstances, I lost everything and people stole it from us and everything else. But what came out of it, because I was his muse, was fractalization
hmm.
and, but also kind of what you were talking about, the five-person removed, and that
Right.
everybody you need um, to help you in whatever aspect is five
They're
people
right. Yeah,
removed, right there.
they're right next to you. Yeah.
And so he developed an algorithm which now Microsoft has taken up into artificial intelligence. So,
Wow.
but it came up to him because he downloaded the fractalization from Fractal himself, channeled in his knowledge and his wisdom, and I introduced him to numerology
Hmm.
and what I do, so it just became that because he was a very spiritual person but didn't know where he was going, and then suddenly the vision came into being. So he's off doing his thing now. But that's the beauty of it. We may start on a path doing one thing. And, I remember going to a reader back in 2010, and she said, "You're going to do something online that's going to save people's lives." And I thought, how is the electric motor going to be online? And the electric motor, then the whole crash and burn and the whole trauma and everything. And then I wrote a piece on depression, and then somebody picked it up and saw my site and said, "Why don't you come and be a podcaster with me?" What's a
Right.
podcast? And I've not been afraid to try something I don't understand.
Yeah.
And
And that's our universal
yeah,
pathways, right? They're specific to us,
yes,
and they are not straight lines.
no. I wouldn't know
They
how to
are.
walk a straight line. I'd fall off.
Yeah.
There's nothing ever been straight lined about me. Definitely. And
And that's a
people,
good thing.
yes, I've been, called wacky, crazy, and everything else. And I say, well, you've got to, prerequisite to survive this world is actually to have a little craziness, right? And be able
Yes.
to laugh at life, be able to laugh at yourself and
Hmm.
not beat yourself up. Have I been everything everybody wanted me to be? No.
You
But
don't
I
have
am who I am, and you can
to.
take me or
Hmm.
leave me. And if I've been a disappointment, I'm sorry.
Right.
I just did my best in the circumstances of where I was at the time.
Yeah,
So I think,
definitely.
forgiveness of self is a huge one too, isn't it?
Mm. Forgiveness and compassion and
Yeah.
grace and mercy and all that good stuff. Yeah, we
Yes,
deserve it. Yeah.
we do. And it should be so much more in our vocabulary.
Yes, and given as a gift as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Giving us something, I refer to people, we are a gift. We're a
Yes.
gift unto ourselves, but we are a gift to give away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, where people have, you have, I've interviewed quite a people with autism, and I look at the gift they are. And all right, socially, they're not great at the whole big interaction and they have triggers and this and that. I just call that selectiveness, right? And and they've been given a focus on something that they have a vision that they channel and they do, and they're incredibly creative.
Yes.
Right. And I
Yes.
think there's a lot to be learned from them. We're trying to
Yeah,
be everything everybody wants instead of focusing on the gift that we are.
exactly. Yeah.
Lighten up on ourselves, right?
Yes. And be your gift.
Be your gift. That's
Yeah,
what you're meant to be here for, right? You know, that whole self-discovery
that's right.
is on what gift are you? You know, embrace that. If it has to be a gift to you first before it could be a gift to anyone else.
Right.
So it's okay to be a little selfish while you're in that self-discovery. Because when you
Absolutely.
are and you step into it, all the essence and the love and everything you are then just pours right out. And
Yeah.
we all
Yeah.
benefit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Can you imagine if everybody on this planet stepped into their gift of what kind of world we would have?
Yes, I can. Yes, I
Exactly.
can.
Me too.
Yes, I
That's the
can.
reason why we do the work we do,
Exactly.
right? Because
Yes.
we've seen it. We know the impact that it will have as a collective consciousness
Hmm.
rises of who we really can be. Because I don't think we've scratched the surface on who we can really be as human
Oh,
beings,
absolutely.
but we're on our
Mhm.
way if we
Yeah.
choose to be.
Yeah. One with 44 zeros after it.
Yes.
That's our amount of opportunity to
Yeah.
change and grow. Yeah. It's
And
immense.
changing and growing and twisting and turning and exploring and everything else. It's fun.
It is fun.
It's
It's
fun.
joyous. It's
Yes.
interesting.
Don't be
It's
so afraid to,
yeah.
to fail forward, as someone said, and also I love the word flawsome. We've all got flaws. Just
Yeah.
be awesome with those flaws because there's
Yep.
some aspects a diamond with a flaw is worth more.
That's right. Yes, they're beautiful.
Yes, exactly. And so are we,
Yeah.
whatever package we come in, right?
That's right.
Exactly. This has been wonderful speaking with you, love.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sharing. And I love the whole quantum universal aspect of it. And please reach out to Margaret here. Do you have a call thing where people can touch bases with you, etc.? That's all on the site?
yes, it's on the site. Yeah, the
Right.
3C Universal Pathways.
And it does, and also, download the free gift, read the chapter in the book. You're in your own self-discovery audience, and Margaret's here understanding, what you need along the way. And whether she's a fit for you or not, you're not going to know unless you have a conversation or whether you
Right.
dive more into what she's done. But understand, we don't get there on our own. We
Right.
get there by the grace and the consideration and the respect of others showing us the path. They put the information, the wisdom, the encouragement in our backpack, and they show us the path, but we've got to walk it.
Right.
Right? Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Until next time, folks, remember, you are beautifully awesome. Bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or self-discovery-media/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.